As we have seen, array is a data structure that represents a collection of the same type of data. So how do we declare array variables? This is the same as declaring other type of variables, but since we are actually declaring a collection of the same type, we have to use special symbol, and that is this bracket pair. So how we declare an array, we just put a bracket pair just beside the data type. So the data type, bracket pair, and then the name of the array. So if we want to declare this particular array where the name is my list and there are 10 elements, we need to do this, that double, then bracket pair, my list. This way we are simply declaring that my list, or we are telling the memory to accommodate a space named my list that will hold an address of an array. Okay, so it does not contain the array itself. It contains, my list contains the address of an array. So there is another way to declare array, that is what we have used in C. That means normal data type, the bracket pair comes alongside the name of the array. But it is preferred, or it is conventional to put the bracket pair with the data type. We'll see how we actually create the array. So when we declare an array, we are simply allocating a memory location to hold the address of the array. The actual array was not created. So how do we create the actual array? We need to do the we need to use the new keyword and then the data type, and in the bracket pair we need to declare the size of the array. And when we create this array, the address, we need to store the address by assigning it into the array name or array reference variable. Okay, so if we want to create the array in our example, we need to do this, that my list equal new double 10. By this line we are actually telling our computer to store, or to allocate space to store 10 double values. So double actually take 8 bytes. So 8 bytes, and for 10 doubles we need 80 bytes. So we are actually telling the computer to allocate 80 bytes of data into memory, and then the address of that memory, the location of the first byte, we are going to assign it into my list. So conventionally we use this. So my list, then bracket 0, references the first element in the array, and my list 9 references the last element in the array. So this value is called index value. This is the same as in C. So we can actually declare and create an array in one step. It's simply by doing this: the data type, then bracket pair, then the name of the array. So this is the declaration part. First it happens this, then new data type, the array size, and finally it in between the assignment statements. So we can do like this, that double bracket my list equal new double 10. So we can also do it like this, that double my list bracket equal new double 10, but conventionally we will follow this style of coding, that the bracket pair comes after the data type. So the length of an array in C, if we wanted to determine the length of an array, we would actually needed a for loop, and we need to traverse the array until we reach the end of the value, and that's how we decided the length of an array. So in Java, we will see later that array is another type of class. So the length is an attribute of that class. So once an array is created, its size is fixed. So we have seen that when we create an array, we need to mention the size because we actually need to allocate the memory beforehand. So once it is created, that fixed size cannot be changed anymore. So we can actually find its size using this, the name of the array dot length and then a parenthesis pair. The parenthesis pair says that length is basically the name of the method. So if we want to get the length of our example array, we have to write this mylist.length and it will return us 10, the value 10. So when we create an array, it does not contain garbage values. Rather, it contains some default values based on the type of array. So if the array is of numeric primitive data type, that means integer, short, double, floating, then the default value is 0. If the character is for if the array is for character types, the default is the null character. This is the Unicode of null character. And if the array is of Boolean types, the default values are false. So let's say we create an array of 100 size of Boolean values. So by default, all the entries will be initially false. So the array elements are accessed through the index. And in Java, the array indices are 0 based. That means it starts from 0 to length minus 1. So in the example, my list holds 10 double values. So the indices will begin from 0 up to 9. So each element in the array is represented using the following syntax known as an indexed variable. So we need to have, if we want to have any value, we need to have the name of the array, then in the bracket, the index number. So after an array is created, those indexed variable can be used in the same way as a regular variable. That means if we want to add two elements of the array, we will simply write like this: mylist0 plus mylist1. What it does is it takes the 0th element from my list and add it with the 1th element of the my list. So that will be simply an addition of two double variables, and the result will be assigned to the second place of my list. So we can actually declare, create and initialize an array in one step, and that is done by this. But for the declaring, we have to write the type, then bracket pair, and then the name of the array, then the assignment operator, and inside a curly brace pair, we will just list the initial elements. And this is the only way to initialize by this in one step. So this shorthand syntax must be in one statement. This is a very important point, that this must be in one statement. So this one statement is equivalent to first double mylist equal new double 4. So if this is in shorthand, if we write like this, compiler himself actually counts the number of values here, and accordingly it will ask for that many spaces. But if we want to do it ourselves, then we need to write like this: new double 4, and then we need to assign each individual value separately. My list 0 equal this 1.9, then my list 1 this 2.9, my list 2 3.4, and my list 3 3.5. But we need to be very careful about the point that they need to be in one statement. If you split that statement, it will simply give you a syntax error. That means if you write like this, that declaration in one line or one statement, and then my list equal this, then this will give you an error. If you want to initialize by listing elements, the declaration and initialization must be done in one single statement.